Kayla here. Welcome back to another video. So in this week's video, I want to go over at least one question, maybe a few questions. Depends on how long this goes. Some of my videos can get pretty long, so I want to mix in some shorter videos. This one in specific was a comment on one of my other videos, Will I Become Obese? And so I wanted to read it to you first, and then I want to address it because I don't want my message to be misunderstood. And I could see totally what some of you guys say, and so I want to clear things up so there's no confusion or have certain expectations about how your recovery is going to end or how you're going to end up after recovery. Okay, so what do I mean by all of this? I'm going to leave it anonymous. If you guys want to go check the comment section, you can feel more than welcome to, but I'm going to read it here. She says, I don't think it's fair to say you won't stay at a weight you're uncomfortable at or that you won't stay obese. That's simply not true. You even said it, people raise their set weight point. I've always been around 140, and when I stopped dieting, I shot up to 170 and I've crept up to 190 in the subsequent years. I'm most definitely not in quasi-recovery, and I have zero faith in that I will lose that weight, nor do I care. In general, I like your message, but sometimes your channel feels misleading in its message. Like you were saying, if you do this right, you'll lose weight too. I also think your story might mislead people into thinking they'll gain, then lose too, when that simply isn't the case for everyone. Okay, so I agree with a lot of these points. Okay, I could see how certain videos or thumbnails in my videos can be taken in that way. And what I want to say is, and I've believed this and have tried to say this in the past, and maybe it didn't come off in this way, and I tell all of my clients this, and in my courses and in my book, and this is my belief, that not everyone is going to go down or lower their set weight point. So I've said in the past that you can raise your set weight point from continually restricting yourself and going back and forth between restricting and lowering your metabolism, and then binging as a result from the restriction, as a cry for a lot of energy from your body. And then after you binge, you feel guilty and shameful, and then you go back to restricting, and then you feel so crazy and out of control around food, or you feel so weak and miserable, and you're sick of restricting and dieting that you choose recovery again and you commit, and this whole cycle that I've talked about. So, those people though, that do stay in that cycle for months and months or even years and years, or oftentimes what we see a lot in our culture is their whole life, right? From childhood on, because that's what we're taught, is that you have to restrict or be on some kind of diet in order to maintain your weight or maintain your weight. All I mean by that is that maintain your healthy weight where your body feels most comfortable at. And of course, that's going to be completely different for everyone. Okay, so there's definitely body diversity, and there are some people that just tend to carry more body fat on them. And there are people that tend to be naturally more lean, but not necessarily the leanness that we see all over Instagram, right? And there might be some people like that, but that doesn't mean everyone is like that. I'm not like that either, okay? Even though I did end up, losing some of my overshoot, it doesn't mean that I'm back to where I was when I was dieting and restricting and over-exercising. No, I'm over that mark, and I'm completely happy, and I feel good about that. And so should you. I completely agree with the place that she was at, that where she was saying is that, she has overshot her pre-weight in the dieting or in restricting. She's overshot that, and she doesn't feel like her body is meant to have less weight. Whether that's true or not, the future will tell. If that's where her body wants to reside at, then that's completely normal for her. And that's the best place to be mentally, is that you completely accept that. That's all recovery is getting to a place of being like, okay, I am where I am, and I'm working to accept where I am right now. And I'm working to, continue to live my life and find my value beyond my body right now. I'm going to, if I have the energy and I want to, and I have that desire to live my life or follow this passion or follow this hobby or do this certain thing in life, you know, I'm going to continue to do that right now in my recovery, wherever I'm at, whatever body I'm in, whatever my body looks like right now. And I'm going to do that because I accept where I am and I feel the healthiest that I have, or I've gotten so much health or freedom in return and recovery this far. So, you know, who cares? And yes, that's exactly what I talk about, is that mindset. Like, that mindset is crucial in recovery. You have to completely let go of the thought of ever losing any weight. So I believe that's why my recovery went the way it did. And I'm not saying everyone's recovery is going to go like mine. Not everyone's recovery is going to go like Joe's or Sue's. You know, like, everyone is different. This is not a one-size-fits-all cookie cutter kind of approach. Recovery is about, you know, listening to your body for once, following the body and allowing the body to guide you and being okay with that and accepting wherever the body takes you and wherever the body wants to be at. And that may adjust and fluctuate, which is normal in life, you know? So I am not attached to this body that I'm at right now because obviously it's bound to change in the future. And I've talked about this in the past as well. Like, it could change from a life crisis, from a life shift, or just the natural aging process. And that's completely normal. And we should embrace that and accept that. In our culture, it's maybe harder for some people to accept that. They want to hold on to that youth or find the fountain of youth, you know? But, you know, you're just fighting biology. You're just fighting life. That's a beautiful process that we should not shame or look down upon. Women that are older than me that like really carry themselves well, they're doing what I want to do. You know, I look up to them. I have so much respect for them, you know, and yeah, maybe their body doesn't look like a 20-year-old or someone in their 20s or 30s, but who freaking cares? Like, they are beautiful. It's not just about the body. And, you know, I don't admire them for their body. I admire them for who they are and who they are in this world. Right? That's how it should be. The younger should look up to the elders for wisdom. You know, if those people have earned that right to be respected, because there are some people that are bitter at any age group, right? They're just bitter, and, you know, we don't have to respect someone just because they're older. But what I'm saying is we can find a lot of beauty and respect in people of all ages outside of how their body looks, right? So I hope that this is all making sense. The main point out of all of this is I hope no one's comparing their recovery to mine or to someone else's channel on YouTube of how, you know, the other recovered channels. We're all so different and we can't promise anyone anything. We can't say a timeline of when certain things are going to happen. We can't say if and when the body is going to lose overshoot. The whole point of all of this is to, you know, if your body is in overshoot, it's not to even think of it as overshoot. It's literally just to reframe that mindset and that belief and be like, okay, if my body is at a higher weight right now, then that means it very well needs to be for whatever reason. Like, if my body has taken me here after years of restricting and deprivation and perhaps purging and over-exercising, and my body has taken me here and I've gained this much weight as a result from following the extreme hunger, from resting from exercise, from taking time for myself and listening to my body and honoring my body, then this is where my body wants and needs to be right now. And I can't live for the future. I can't be thinking in my recovery like, oh my gosh, okay, so am I an overshoot and when is this going to lose? Like, I hope that my recovery goes like so-and-so's. And, you know, if I just hold out this much longer, then perhaps the weight will go away then. Like, that's the wrong kind of mindset to have. And that can keep you literally stuck in this quasi-recovery for so long because you're not changing the mindset in recovery. You're only physically recovering and you're not mentally recovering, because mental recovery is changing these beliefs that we have that our body needs to be a certain way that it's not naturally designed to be, or that my body needs to be somewhere else rather than where it is right now. And it needs to happen quick. It needs to happen quicker, right? Or, you know, I don't like the way my body looks right now, so I need to speed things up. Or I hope that it happens like on my timeline, like it should happen like this, because we're also used to structure and meal plans and, you know, you can lose a pound a week and blah, 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 like these kinds of mindsets, right? These are the wrong way to approach life, okay? It's literally about letting those things go, which can make us go like berserk and nuts to be like, okay, I just have to let things flow naturally. I just have to go with the flow wherever my body takes me, wherever my hunger takes me. Like, I just have to follow that. And, you know, it's outside of my strict regimes or routines. And yes, some of us do better off of routines, but at the same time, maybe you should challenge that a little bit deeper and go outside of the routine, you know? If it causes still anxiety and fear to like go outside of a certain routine or regime, that should probably be challenged still, right? Because I'm all about routines. I like my morning routine, like getting up and, you know, having my glass of water and then having my coffee and then sitting and chilling and drinking my coffee and looking outside. Like, yeah, I like that routine. But if I was in a situation where I was traveling or, you know, I was in a hurry and that routine couldn't happen, then whatever, like I'm not gonna have a panic attack anymore because I didn't do it in a specific way, right? Or if my body woke up, or if I woke up one day and I was closer to my period and I felt a little bit more bloated, or I had a little bit of those hormone pimples, or I felt extra hungry and it caused me to go outside of a certain routine in whatever way. So my body looks little bit different, or my hunger looks a little bit different. So what? Like, that's the ebb and flow of every month and the cycles. So there's shorter cycles within months and there's longer cycles within the year. So the seasons. So I'm getting kind of off topic, but I'm trying to just get this point across that, you know, wherever you are right now, if you've come from a past of restriction and you're following your body and you're following your hunger, or maybe you're having to force yourself because you don't even have hunger, but you've come from a past of restricting, or anorexia, bulimia, orthorexia, whatever, or just a strict clean eating dieter, and your body has overshot, or it's just gained a lot of weight, and that's where you're at right now, and that's, your body will not budge, and that's where your body is at, or your body is still gaining, even if you have been, you know, constantly feeding yourself, or maybe the extreme hunger has died down, but maybe you're still gaining, then it's time to try to let go of the guilt, try to let go of the worrying, trying to let go of the control, trying to let go of the constant feelings of the future, like what the future holds, or, you know, how things are going to pan out, or where you're going to end up. You know, the whole bigger lesson out of recovery, I believe, is this breakdown of the ego and the breakdown of that old false facade of an identity that was based around, you know, your body looking a certain way, and really finding your value and your true identity and, you know, who you are and what you have to offer this world and all your strengths and gifts that have nothing to do with your body. Okay, so if you're not really trying to find that within yourself, I challenge you to start doing that now and start trying to change or to shift and neurally rewire these limiting beliefs and mindsets that are hurting your recovery or prolonging your recovery or just keeping you stuck and in this state of fear or trying to control things or feeling that, you know, your recovery is wrong if your overshoot doesn't go down, or you're at a certain point, like a year or even 2 years in, and you're not where you think your body should be. You know, it's that whole thing of my body should be, or my body should look like, or this overshoot should come off. Like, that's the whole point, I think. I had to get to that point where I was like, you know what? I went from 90 pounds to 190 pounds, 100 pounds of weight gain within my recovery. And I was trying to fight it, and I was going back and forth in quasi-recovery. And I had to get to that point of just being like, you know what? whatever, like I'm done fighting my body and trying to think like, oh, maybe my body, this weight gain is bad, like I need to get this off. No one's gonna like me. I'm not attractive like this. Like I had to go up against those mindsets and those beliefs that I'd been telling myself for so long and challenge those. And then I was able to get to a place of acceptance. And with this mindset shift of just being like, okay, you know what? I am ready to be at this weight forever if I need to be, because I've gotten so much health and life and, you know, opportunity and vigor and joy back in my life that whatever, I would take this body with extra body fat than going back to being sick and malnourished and miserable, but at a lower body fat. So I had to get to that place. And it just so happened that my recovery in my body led me to where I am today. But in the future, like if something happens and, you know, my body wants to look different or change, like whatever, you know, if the end product comes from you like forcing it, that's where it's not natural. If the end product comes, well, after you've already accepted your body and where it's at and continue to live your life, then cool, but you're not attached to it. You don't attach to it and be like, okay, well, this is me again. Like I'm identifying with how my body looks. Like, no, it's just accepting also the process that the body ebbs and flows throughout life. And that's okay. And you're not lazy and you're not weak and you're not a glutton and you're not a bad person and you're not a shameful person. You're the opposite. You are so strong. Recovery takes a really strong individual to go up against the grain, to go up against like everything that everyone has been taught about our bodies and dieting and exercise. That takes a freaking strong ass person. This isn't about, you know, recovering and doing recovery for like a year or two and then getting back to an old body type. Recovery is about accepting and finding yourself again and being okay with where you are right now. One more thing to address, she did mention your message may feel misleading, like you are saying if you do this right, you'll lose weight too. So I don't agree with this because I don't think that there's a right way to recovery within context. So if you are eating to fullness, you are following your hunger cues. When your satiety cues return, you're following your satiety. When you are resting, when your body is asking for rest, maybe you're in pain, you're swelling, you're achy, all over head to toe. You have that 9-month pregnant belly, your joints hurt, and your body's gaining weight and you're not suppressing it, then you're not doing recovery wrong. Like that's recovery. Obviously some people may need more guidance and that's what the coaching is for or the courses, but for the most part, that's recovery. And you're not gonna do recovery wrong. Recovery is all about finding your own balance. Your own balance set weight point where your body feels most comfortable. And maybe that's not in line with your mind's desires of where you think your body should be and reside at. And maybe, you know, only your body can tell you where that's going to be. But if you think that you're doing recovery wrong because your recovery is not falling in the same timeline or the same sequence as other people's or as mine or as other recovery coaches, or your body's not looking similar, or you haven't lost the overshoot, or you haven't, or the extreme hunger hasn't gone away yet, or you haven't gotten your period back even after a year, like you're not doing recovery wrong. If you're following all those things that I just said, which is pretty simple in theory, but very hard to do, right? Eat, rest, eat, rest, and neurally rewire and change those limiting beliefs. So physical recovery, mental recovery, both needed simultaneously. One is not more or less important. You need both. So yeah, and the other thing, it's not fair to say you won't stay at a weight you're uncomfortable at or that you won't stay obese. Just because the mind is uncomfortable in a certain body Or you may feel uncomfortable physically because you've been in a smaller body for years and years and perhaps your whole life. Yeah, any change is going to be uncomfortable. So that's not to say that it's wrong though, because oftentimes the most growth comes from, outside of our comfort zone, right? Growth and change does not come from just staying comfortable. That's what actually causes a lot of the problems and suffering, is the attachment to that comfort zone. So yeah, I agree. Again, it's realigning the mental and the physical, and that can come into balance and homeostasis with time and with your constant, consistent effort of accepting where you are right now and, challenging all of these feelings and beliefs that you tell yourself. So what are you telling yourself on a daily basis? What do you tell yourself when you're going to eat that off-limit food? What are you telling yourself when you look in the mirror? What are you telling yourself when you don't go to the gym? What do you tell yourself when you're resting and you may be feeling guilty that you should be doing more? Like, what are you telling yourself? And then get underneath, get to the root of that. What are the feelings that come up? Not good enough, that you are lazy, is it sadness? Is it, hurt? Like, where are these feelings coming from? Where did these mindsets and beliefs develop? And then unlearning all of these false beliefs and mindsets that you learned as a kid from ignorance. But now it's time, like, you have the awareness and now you can change those. And it doesn't make it easy, but it is doable. So it's your time now to, parent yourself through this. You have to, be your own parent or be your own coach at other times when you're not watching videos or getting guidance from a coach or a therapist. Like, at those times, what are you going to do? And I would recommend, stepping into those uncomfortable feelings and feeling them and not trying to overthink them and overanalyze them and being like, okay, what does this mean? Like, when did this happen? Like, blah, blah, blah. Like, I know that's easy to do that. And so instead of intellectually trying to rationalize what you're feeling and, where it's all coming from, like, just feel it and, like, be there for yourself and hug yourself and love yourself through it all. Again, I don't want to portray a message that leads you in the wrong direction or, gets your hopes up. I want you to be realistic with where, you need to be and where your body needs to be and wants to be. So again, overshoot, weight gain, it doesn't pass for everyone, but for some, it will. So the best thing out of all of it is acceptance. Because in the long run, without acceptance, you're gonna have a long life of fighting yourself constantly, fighting your body, and now recovery turns into something that you're doing wrong, just like in the diet mindsets where you did the diets wrong. Like, recovery is not another thing to start to tell yourself that you're doing it wrong and that your body is wrong for where it wants to be and what it's doing. No, get away from that and into acceptance right now. Okay, so I hope that clears things up, and I hope that this message helps you, but just know that you are good enough as you are right now, no matter who told you that you're not at whatever point in your life, or people, and then you took that on as your own belief that you continue now to tell yourself. It's just not true. Okay, you're so much better than that. You have so much more to offer this world. I hope that you can reconnect with your true self. You're on the right path. You're not doing recovery wrong, unless you're still like over-exercising and shaming yourself and, not following your hunger and blah, 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 right? But again, maybe you are doing it that is right for you where you're at right now. I'm not the one to say that. Maybe you still need some more letting go and some more challenging yourself and going back and forth until you get to that place of being like, oh, fuck this, I'm done, I'm exhausted, can't do this anymore. So, I'm not the one to say that you're doing anything wrong. Like, it probably is just part of your process and your journey. So I wanted to read you guys something really quick. I felt like it would go with the topic of this video. So I just recently got this. Dear Kayla, this is gonna be long, so buckle up. But you've changed my life entirely. You changed the way I live my life for the past 10 years of it. You helped me realize that I actually have a problem. This video, the one I'm reading it on, is When I Quit Dieting, I Got My Life Back and How You Can Too, was the first ever hint that there was something very, very wrong with how I was living and how I used to treat my body and my soul. That was 5 months ago when I was at my worst, eating around 200 calories and losing half a kilo a day. And I can't believe I've come so far from then. I can't believe it. From your video, I decided to visit my therapist for the first time in 5 months and talk about this. That's how I find out I had AR-FID and BDD. I took it upon myself to recover from there on, not saying visiting a therapist is a bad choice. Everyone's recovery path is individual. I relapsed a couple of times. My BDD was taking a toll on me, but even though I couldn't see it then, the flower that you planted in me that faithful day I accidentally clicked on your video was slowly growing inside. And one day, about a week ago, it blossomed. I completely accept my body, Kayla. I love myself the way that I am, eating intuitively, looking in the mirror and thinking to myself, this amazing human is me. Even when I look fat, even when I see how chubby my belly is and how floppy my arms are, I love it. I love myself. This is absolutely life-changing. For the first time in my life, I've allowed myself to simply be me. The so far most powerful, most badass, most beautiful version of myself. I'm so freaking proud of myself, and I don't know if I would have even realized any of this without your help. I saw you blossom and I thought to myself, well, surely I'll never be accepting of myself as she is. I'll never be able to accept initial weight gain, to accept that by recovering my body will change, to accept that by recovering my body will change, etc. But here I am realizing that the body that I am in right now is nothing short of perfect, the way it wants to be and the way it's supposed to be. It was supposed to be all along. Had I not tamed it and locked it up in the dark. For the first time in my life, I can feel emotions myself. I am truly me. I truly do lack words that could possibly express how liberating all of this feels. I feel happiness, the kind that I've never witnessed. And while I do realize that my journey is my journey and it is only accomplished because I was strong enough to fight it, I can't possibly begin to express my gratitude to you and the help that you provided. Keep going, keep doing you because you are life-changing. With all my love, Sonia. So I just wanted to share that with you because even from the people who didn't think they themselves could, go through the recovery or begin to accept and even love themselves, it's possible. With that said, I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did like it, please give it a thumbs up and, leave your comments down below. What are your thoughts on this? And also, what would you like to hear more of? Let me know in the comments below. And if you haven't yet subscribed, be sure to subscribe now. And for now, I'll talk to you soon and I'll see you in the next video.